Hey everybody, welcome to the Kingdom Come Heroclix channel, new podcast. I'm your host, Jerrod Buffington, and I want to talk about this week's ROC State Championship. Me and my buddies, Todd James, some of the people from Holy Ground Games, we went out there to Past, Present, Future in Palm Beach this Sunday for the ROC, and shout out to all the guys that came from Tampa, Ryan from Glass Cabinets that was there, everybody who showed up. It was a great group of guys, great playing, classy playing, and it was a great experience overall. So I'm going to jump right into it, but I want to let you know in between each round that I go through, I'm going to talk about what I think about what was played and how it's going to affect the meta. And I know it's going to be a little bit different since zombies are not going to continue to be in the meta except for at Origins, and you guys know that. So just know that while we're talking, we might talk about Origins, but most of my thinking is for further on after Origins, mostly because I'm going to be out of the country and not able to go this year. So let's jump right into it. Round one in the ROC. My team that I brought was Super Scroll team, of course. Played Mr. Mitzelplick with it, Mercury, and KC Green Lantern at the 30-point dial with a Shield level 7 ID card with old Nicky. Old little Nicky on the side. And I should have done a lot more play testing with this team. Honestly, I played it somewhere between 10 and 15 times before the actual ROC, and I regretted that. I don't regret the way the team was built. I don't regret any of it because there were two Super Scroll teams in top 4, and a Super Scroll team ended up winning the whole thing, piloted by Phil Jr. So I don't regret the team build, and I actually think that my team build was really, really good, maybe even better than some of the other Super Scroll teams that there were. Just my experience of piloting Super Scroll in general wasn't there. I actually borrowed him for the tournament and played him the whole week through. I played against him a couple times, but I wish I would have got in some more games of play testing before I ran. The play testing I did too was kind of shallow. I played against some Pulse Wave teams, some Sunfire teams. Ended up playing against Joe's team, who he plays second place. Shout out to Joe. But I wish I would have tested it more depth against some of the Krang teams and the Quinjet and things like that. So, round one, I ended up playing against a guy, I forget his name, so I apologize if you're listening to this. He played a Justice League theme team. He played the 60-point Batman, the rare one with the running shot. He played Shifting Focus Superman. He played the 85-point, I believe it is, Flash, the Ellie. He played the round table with a bunch of ID cards, and he played Green Lantern at the 30-point dial. So the first thing that struck me is that he did not use the Justice League ATA. And if you're playing Justice League, if you have the points at all, I mean, he had a bunch of ID cards. I'd rather have the Justice League ATA and subtract one of those ID cards. Excuse me. ATAs aren't the end-all, be-all, but that Justice League, that +1 defense, I love it. I love changing that, the dice roll, that giving them that extra 10% chance of missing their attack with that +1. So the game started. Overall, the team the guy was piloting, it was pretty weak all around. He had some team probs, but basically he came up and positioned in the middle of the map, and Super Scroll just ran up on him, and he one-shotted Batman on turn 3, I believe. And from then on, I barriered all around him with KC Green Lantern. He was able to get through the barrier with Shifting Focus Superman, but he wasn't really able to do much. So he missed the attack. He went and focused on Mitzelplick with the flash, which he missed for a turn or two, and then I just started pulse waving him, double beating him. He did manage to kill Mitzelplick, and he got a 5 extra points because I summoned in Nick Fury. Tried to hide his flash behind my KC Green Lantern, popped out Nick Fury. Nick Fury went to town, and it was game from that point. So I swept, and he got 75 points. Moved on to round 2. Now this was really the most interesting match for me because, number one, it's the match where I learned the most. I learned the most about actual Heroclix in the game. And one of the other matches which we'll talk about, I learned more about gamesmanship. But in round 2, I really learned more about Heroclix. I played, I guess he's a buddy now, James. Shout out to James. He won the WKO we were at about a month and a half ago. With the same team, the Krang team. He played Krang, Justin Seyfried, an Ultron drone, but he did his research on the Ultron drone. I believe it's Ultron 14 or something like that. It has improved movement to where it can move through blocking terrain. Okay, so he has that Ultron drone. He has Aaron Baxter, and he has the Pandora's box with 2 or 3 relics on it. I can't remember fully. So he wins map roll, and let me tell you this, against the Krang teams, it is almost top priority to win the map roll. Because if you're playing on an outdoor map and Krang can go to a Colossal and +2 everything, there's nowhere you can hide. He can go and hit you in the starting area, pretty much. So you got to win map roll. You got to play indoors so that the Colossals don't get all that, what they're calling shenanigans that they get. So he won map roll, unfortunately. I had Super Scroll and Mitzelplick, and my whole strategy was, because he was moving up slowly, it was on the Civil War map, on the outdoor one. And he was on the side where the jets are, and I was on the elevated side. And so he just started moving up with the Ultron drones, assigning Sin relics so that everybody had sidestep. And he was just moving up through the ship and actually breaking squares of blocking terrain and moving up slowly. That way I couldn't hypersonic out or, or running shot out with Super Scroll, because he only has 6 range. So I couldn't see them from the elevator. I had to get off the elevator. And then I couldn't target them unless I was able to go all the way to the other side of the map and U-turn with like hypersonic speed or something. And he really positioned well. He was in the middle of the blocking terrain of the ship, and he was just moving up, sidestepping turn by turn, breaking the blocking terrain with the Ultron drone. So I saw he was slow playing it, and I was like, okay, well then I'm going to just move Mitzi around. I'm going to push him, get him on click 2, and hopefully he'll slow play long enough that I can clear with Mitzelplick. And now I got Mitzelplick with the special pulse wave, and I got Super Scroll. I positioned Super Scroll really well with Mercury to where there was no way he could single target pulse wave Super Scroll. And I had Mitzelplick on the back of the map because I thought there's no way he's going to go for Mitzelplick, and I'm going to get the +1 because he's tiny. And I had some probs and some perplexes. But man, about turn 4, turn 5, the turns were going really quickly because we were just kind of slow playing as far as movement and positioning. Man, he put him up to Colossal. He used Aaron Baxter to give him +1 movement, +1 attack. And Justin Seyfried power action sent him out, I think 13 squares, all the way out carrying Justin Seyfried. Then, with a 14 attack, he one-shots Mitzelplick. And then he goes all the way back to his starting line. And I'm just shocked. I am utterly shocked at this point. And I really learned, when you're playing against those Krang teams for now, you got to target Justin Seyfried. You got to target him early, everything you can. get some precision strike, go on and hit Justin Seyfried. He only has 4 or 5 clicks, and he's really the heartbeat of the team, because without Justin Seyfried, he would have had to move all the way out. He can only half his range with a running shot, and then he would have been stranded there, and then Super Skrull would have went to town, because Krang takes 2 clicks of damage if he increases his stat bonuses by 2. He takes 1 click of damage if he increases everything by 1. So Krang would have been on click 3, stranded, and I would have hit him for 5 with Super Skrull easy. You know, pick up an Ultra Heavy, call it a day, pick up, do Pulse Wave, perplex up his damage by 1 with Green Lantern, and, you know, bye, call it a day. That's what I thought was going to end up happening, but I was super unaware of how mobile Krang is with Justin Seyfried. I didn't get to play him at the WKO. In fact, I wanted to play him, and James did not want to play me, because I was one of only 2 people who played the Green Battery at the WizKids Regional. So I was super confident the WizKids Regional, wanted to play him, and I made top 8 in that. But this time, he was not the team I wanted to see. I wanted to play him because I knew either way, win or lose, I was going to learn a lot, which I did. And James is such a great guy. He sat there and taught me more. We talked about what I could have done, what would have been better. Really great guy. He's going to nationals, and you know, I hope the best for him. So Krang is going to have the huge impact on the meta. Krang is the new boogeyman. After Origins, starting July, even now, because Krang was beating some zombie team bases and some Super Skrulls, even though a Super Skrull team placed first and won the whole state championship. Krang, you know, can give it a run for its money. And after the zombies rotate, after Super Skrull rotates, I mean, he's basically, with Justin Seyfried, I mean, he's the new Super Skrull. He's the new, you know, OP figure that's easy to pilot, pretty straightforward. He's going to hit you, and you're not going to be able to hit him back unless you are very bold with your positioning in the beginning. That's one thing I would have changed. I would have positioned middle of the map in the beginning of the game. That way I would have gotten a shot off on him before Super Skrull died. Yeah, so Krang is the stuff. I need a Krang, want a Krang. If I have to, I will borrow a Krang. And I'm building against Krang for my next ROC. Believe that. So round 3 was a breath of fresh air after that. I loved playing, but it was just, I mean, it was kind of demoralizing against Krang. So round 3, I'm 1-1 at this point. Round 3, I'm playing against a Quinjet team, which I love the Quinjet tech, but even more than loving it personally, I love playing against it. I played against a team, a similar build in the WKO, and it was grueling back and forth, but man, I took that Quinjet down, and I won the new, you know, the nice maps from WizKids that they're putting out to try and compete with the ROC maps. I won one of those maps facing a Quinjet at the WKO. So playing this team, almost the same tech. It's the Quinjet, Jarvis. They played the Hawkeye at 75 points. Put Hawkeye in the Quinjet to be the pilot. It gave the Quinjet sidestep. And they were just calling it a bunch of figures. So this is how it went. He called in Captain Cold. Put a barrier because he didn't want me to go after the Quinjet. I TK Super Skrull out there, pick Hypersonic, Super Strength, pick up an Ultra Heavy, and I one-shot Captain Cold. You get a food token, 65 points because of the ID card in Captain Cold. And my opponent was pretty much shocked. I mean, straight shocked. And to give him credit, he didn't really know all about Super Skrull or how OP he is. And, you know, he called out Nick Fury. Nick Fury hit him once, but then he pushed Nick Fury to hit him again, which I just came back with the food tokens, and really I just stayed next to Jarvis and the Quinjet, kept using poison. I would choose outwit to outwit, the Quinjet's defense, and used poison. And I kept getting food tokens. Every turn, 2 or 3 food tokens for free without even having to roll the dice. Took out Jarvis. He called in a bunch of characters, and they weren't able to get any kills. He actually didn't kill any figures at all, and I think this game is actually on the channel. It's the only game on the channel right now from the ROC with a Quinjet. He might have been the only Quinjet player, person playing a Quinjet at the state championship. So, beat him pretty bad. Almost killed the Quinjet. I ended up getting like close to 100 points. Oh, I got more than 100 points. I got about 125, 130 points because of ID cards, Jarvis, and Captain Cold. And I got to tell you this, Jarvis, because the 2 times I've played it, and this is all that I've seen, so people might be doing something different. This might not be the norm, but from what I've seen, people are playing Jarvis, because I love the thing where he can limit the damage he takes, and you get the 3 ID cards, but you have to get this. Okay, if you're listening, get this when it comes to Jarvis. Jarvis is not always the answer. The Jarvis tech is not always going to fit the Quinjet. Because when it comes down to it, why do I need 3 more ID cards? I mean, unless I'm playing a really, a bigger player also to be a secondary attacker with the Quinjet, why am I going to play 3 more ID cards? I mean, you're not going to get to summon 11 ID cards in a game. You don't need that many ID cards. The people that, this event, it was max 9 sideline figures. You're not going to call in 9 people. I mean, I don't care. You say it, my games go long. You're not going to call in 9 figures in the game. That's ridiculous. I mean, sometimes the Quinjet's double pushed. You're not calling in 9 figures. So, to have Jarvis there because you think it helps, the 3 extra ID cards, all that, yada yada, Jarvis does not help in every situation. Now, if you play it better, that's the synergy of your team. I'm just saying you need to really think about it, because you know what I'm thinking about building with Quinjet? I'm going to get this guy from TMNT, a little uncommon. I don't know if you've heard anybody talking about him or you've seen him. Nobody. No, I'm not talking about not playing Nobody. His name is Nobody. Not Mr. Nobody from World's Finest, just Nobody. At 45 points, about the same cost as Jarvis. Give him a power action. Choose one opposing character. That character cannot attack your next turn. What? So, Jarvis give me 3 ID cards, which is great, and he's going to minimal the damage. You got to hit him, 3 or 4 times before he's going to die. But Mr. Nobody's going to say, I'm going to, picture this, I'm going to call in Nick Fury. I'm going to hit you for 4 or 5 pin. Then I'm going to Mr. Nobody an action, and you can't attack next turn. That's crazy. That is crazy. I think Nobody, need to run it, need to play test it, but I'd rather have Nobody on my team than Jarvis. Now, again, I said that's not going to fit every situation. If you can get a nice little character with the Quinjet, an 80-point, 90-point character that's going to be a big-time, maybe you're playing engineer that's going to be support plus a secondary attacker, and then you maybe have some room for Jarvis. He's going to help you have all the ID cards you need. That's great. But just don't run Jarvis off of autopilot because everybody's running Jarvis. Because every time I've played it, it hasn't made a difference. They've never called in 9 characters, ever. And Jarvis goes down easy. The team goes down easy. And actually, the team at the WKO was a little bit better. It came down to the wire. And I was using a better team with the green battery against the one at the WKO. So, I mean, it was crazy. Round 4. So I won that game. I swept. No. I got 130-something. He didn't get any points. So I'm moving into round 4. I'm 2-1. I got 300-something points. and I play Joe from Holy Ground Games. And Joe is pretty much my mentor in Clix so far. I mean, I had James and Toby from Tate's, they kind of taught me the beginning of the game, but really how to play strategically, how to team build, how to counter, how to position, how to use entities, how to use resources and things like that. I mean, it's been Joe so far, and he's still teaching me. He's still my mentor in Clix, and he ended up placing second place, and he could have won it all with just 2 or 3 dice rolls going his way. And he really had a chance up until the actual last turn, which that video of the Florida State Championship is on our channel. Go watch it and you'll see what I'm talking about. If he would have hit with that first Clarion, he could have hit with the second. The first hit with Clarion would have killed him. Second hit with the Clarion would have got him down, and then there's Teagle for a last hit. So he still could have even won, at the buzzer, but he didn't. He didn't get the dice to fall. So anyways, I play against Joe. Now, we play tested these teams against each other, and he demolished me in the play testing because I was learning some valuable things about Super Scroll during the play testing. This time, I did a lot better than the play testing, but what did happen is I could have came back and maybe won the game. But there's a critical moment where I had Super Scroll. I was going to attack a Clarion. Instead of running up the Pulse Wave, because I would have had to probably kill my KC Green Lantern, I chose Running Shot instead. So I used Running Shot to target him, and I cannot make the attack on Clarion because Clarion is standing on an item. So I do everything, I put the action token, I go to roll the dice, I can't attack him because he's in stealth over an item that I placed. And Joe, this is what I'm talking about, I learned gamesmanship. Joe, called me on it, I put the action, he didn't let me take it back because it was a critical point in the game and in the moment. And just little things like Joe, might move a character and be sidestepping and carrying, and you'll see it in the game, does a lot of shenanigans like that. And he'll be moving pieces around, and he won't put the action token while he's doing it because he hasn't made up his mind. And just that little thing of not placing the action token before you figure out exactly where you want to place him, it takes away almost all argument from, your opponent. Because even I've done it where, no, you can't move him. You put the action token on them, and you started placing other people for the side steps already, so you can't take that back. But he doesn't put the action token. He'll place a character and then move it around, maybe spend 5 to 7 minutes deciding exactly how he wants to place people. And little things like that of gamemanship. And he'll let you take some stuff back or change some stuff. He's not a jerk when he plays, but at that critical moment with the Clarion, it was gamesmanship. It was critical moment, and I put the action down, and he capitalized because of it. He was able to run to the other side of the map, and I wasn't really able to catch him after that. Super Scroll was on click 7 or 8. I kept trying to heal him and get him up, but he was playing Vanisher, and Vanisher, he was playing 2 Clarions, Vanisher, Casey Spectre at the 35-point dial, and Peggy Carter. And you'll see it on the championship game on our channel. The mobility of that team was astounding because Vanisher even has Brotherhood team ability, and his move actions don't count toward the move total, so he was still able to attack with both Teagles and a Clarion or Peggy Carter or whatever it was. He was still able to carry people and then still get all the movements that he needed off, and it was crazy. He played he played Pandora's Box, and the relics, and the way he used the relics to give the plasticity when it was needed, the gluttony to break walls. It was great. It was just great seeing him play, and that he made it all the way to the finals and was just a dice roll away from the game was really incredible. But it was tense playing Joe. We were discrepancies about call, and we had to call the judge 2 or 3 times. But at the end, it was good. It was good. I didn't want to play Joe until, top 8, if possible, because we play all the time at home. But it was still a lot of fun. So I didn't make top 8. I finished 2-2, about 400 something points. I placed 14th overall. Got some ROC points. Played in a battle royale. Ended up getting a rogue super rare, some dice, some ROC dice, and some different things. And in the championship game, Phil Jr. piloting Super Scroll, Mitzelplick, Pandora's Box, Eclipso on what's his name, Super Scroll, versus Joe, and you can see that on the channel again. Phil Jr. won. He won it all. He assigned all the relics. He was trying to get the Shazam roll with Rock of Eternity. And I just love seeing his style, because Joe's style and Phil Jr.'s style is so contrasting. Joe basically plays a lot of swarm semi-control teams. And it almost doesn't look like control because of how aggressive he plays. Because he plays very offensive, very aggressive. But it is control. It's like an alpha control, if that makes sense. But that's how all his teams are. And he was playing a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 figures, 6 if you count both Teagles. And Phil was playing Mitzel and Super Scroll, and Phil has like kind of the opposite paradigm. Phil plays a tentpole figure that's super powered up. He doesn't have a lot of support, so you have to focus on killing. You're not going to win the game by killing support. You're going to have to kill his main character. It's minimal risk as far as giving up points and allowing your opponent to run away. You got to deal with his big gun, and it's going to be his big gun versus a bunch of little guns. And, complete opposite paradigms. And it was really refreshing to see somebody play like that, because nobody really plays like that down here in South Florida that I'm familiar with at this point. So I'm used to the way Joe plays, and I've been learning the swarm, support, control type of thing. And I've really seen that build. But this build, in this paradigm of tentpole, minimizing options when it comes to points for your opponent, was really powerful and really effective. And to see that there wasn't really a mistake, there wasn't actually a mistake made on either side. The placement was great for everybody. The strategy, the timing, the targets, because Phil Jr. Took Peggy Carter out first, which that is the nuts and bolts to Joe's team, because besides Vanisher that gives him the mobility, because Peggy says you can't use Pulse Wave, you can't use Invincible, and makes everybody on the team a superstar. He took out Peggy, which was the right move. Joe took out Mitzelplick first, which was the right move. And it was just came down to completely dice. And when you see players that, they have the experience, they have the figures, they have the right team, they have positioning down, they're not making positioning errors, that's a lot of fun to see. So the game was really fun to watch, really great to play. And I'll tell you, I talked to 2 people. I talked to Ryan from Glass Cabinets, because one, I watched his How to Play Heroclix video, so it's great to have him, look up to him in certain ways, and he's the father of Heroclix vlogging. So we got an interview of him, and you can watch that on the channel if you're interested, about the meta, about the tournament, about the future, about rotation also. But the thing that I didn't get on camera was I talked to Phil Jr. and I asked him, what's the number one thing that you would tell a new player that wants to be on the competitive level? What's the number one point that you would give them? And somebody around was kind of making a joke, or, acting like I was being a fanboy for asking, which I didn't even respond, because I don't care. If you're too prideful to ask people who are, nationally known, placed nationally, are recognized or are ahead of you, not only Heroclix, but any field of life. If you can't be mentored or seek out wisdom, you're prideful and you're probably foolish. So I'm going to ask, if people are further ahead of me and it's somewhere that I want to be, I'm going to ask them. You know, I don't care. I'm not going to be embarrassed about that ever. And so I asked him, and he said the number one thing that you want as a player is dice control. You want to have as much prob as you can. You want to have, whether it's theme team prob, KC Spectre, figures with prob, Mr. Mitzelplick. You want to have as much dice control as possible, because at the higher levels of the game, everyone can position, everyone can team build, and it comes down to dice. And, you know, I really saw that come across. Joe would have won the game in the finals, but the way the positioning was, and he could not position a different way because he wanted to pull back his whole team with Vanisher right after both Teagles attacked. Because he cornered Mitzelplick, attacked him with both Teagles, but he only had 2 probs from Spectre and 1 Clarion instead of 3 probs with the second Clarion, because if he would have positioned the other Clarion to see Teagle, he wouldn't have been able to pull the whole team back. He would have left Clarion stranded there, and he would have got killed the next turn by Super Scroll. So he positioned to where he could get 2 probs off, and Teagle's blades rolled 3 both times. And if he would have rolled a 4 or a 5, Mitzelplick would have been out the game that turn. He wouldn't have had to attack Mitzelplick again, and he could have started focusing on Super Scroll. And it really just showed at those higher levels, the dice is what wins or loses. Because we're both equal caliber, we're both building well, we both don't have huge weaknesses in our teams. It came down to dice. And that's something I took away, and I want you to take away that with you. When it comes down to, oh, do I have a prob, or, you know, do I have this other attacker? A lot of times it's going to be good to have that prob instead, because no matter how many attacks you get off, if you can't make none of them, it's good for nothing. You want to have 3 attackers, a bunch of ID cards, that's great. But you're not going to make any of them, because I'm going to have a bunch of prob, some high defenses, and you're going to have no prob. So, probability control. In the words of Phil Jr., the most important thing is dice control. So, that's all I got this week. That was my experience at States. It was my first ROC tournament and my first state championship. Placed 14th, so I was very happy about that. So let's talk about the meta coming up and what this ROC showed me is going to be the upcoming trends for the game, specifically the meta. So there were 2 or 3 Krang teams. There was only 1 zombie team base, which I was surprised. There was probably 4 Super Scroll teams. 1 Quinjet team. I think probably about 80% of the players were using ID cards, though. So the number one thing I see in the trend is going to be ID cards. People don't know what to do. Everybody wants a one-turn Nick, and I don't blame them. I think at this point in the game and in the meta, you're going to see Nick Fury coming in for 5 points, saying can't use to a power, dealing 4, 5, or 6 penetrating damage to their top piece, and really changing the momentum of games for 5 points instead of 120. And I think that you're going to see a lot of that, and you got to be prepared for that. And you need to have that. If there's any way, whether it's Quinjet, Roundtable, Teleporter, you just have 5 points, there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing level 7 ID card with Nick Fury. Number 2 is Krang is the boogeyman. We said this earlier, but you got to prepare against Krang. You need to play test against Krang. You need to figure out what you're going to do, because in your build, whatever tech you're using, if you don't have an answer for that 13 free movement attack and then a second attack, or the free movement attack at your starting line and then retreat back to their starting line, it's going to be a sad day for you. It's going to be a really sad day for you. One of the answers that I think are going to be characters that can't be targeted. Lex Luthor, Mystique. It's a possible answer, but Krang can choose any attack power, and you're going to have to deal for that. And this is that time, and I'm kind of letting the secret out of the bag. This is where Superman Blue is going to begin to shine. And I say begin to shine because Superman's my favorite character, and I love Superman Blue. So ever since he first came into the game, I saw him, I said, this is going to impact the meta. Everybody was even talking about hopefully there'll be more creative builds, and it didn't happen because the power batteries and the entities, and it just wasn't worth it. But now is where you're going to see Superman Blue begin to shine more. Because you know what I'm thinking about next time I play Krang? It's going to be Lex Luthor and old Superman Blue. Lex Luthor, Superman Blue, or Mystique and Superman Blue. And you're not going to be able to pulse wave me. And Superman Blue is going to have 21 defense from range with 18 energy shield and either Justice League ATA or Perplex. And what are you going to do? Still, Krang, at best, if Aaron Baxter gives the +1/+1 to him instead of healing him, he's going to have 14. He's going to need a 7 to hit. But I would rather him, need a 7 to hit than having a definite, only needed a 4 to hit somebody. And so you're going to have to think about Superman Blue. Other answers for Krang, if you can limit free actions, which I don't see an effective way to do that. I don't think Civil War Black Panther is going to be able to do enough to stop Krang because of how limited he is. You're really going to have to be able to go and one-shot Justin Seyfried early in the game. Because if Justin Seyfried's out, Krang is a little bit more powerful version of Trinity Wars Batman or, Engineer. And we can deal with those figures. They're going to get pulse wave to the face, or they're going to get a hypersonic super strength in the mouth. And but it's going to be tough. I don't see any straight up all around answer for Krang that's foolproof or fail safe, because, and I'll say this, if you can win map, it's going to be easier. But if you lose map, even Superman Blue with a Trinity Wars, Lex Luthor, or Superman Blue with some Mystiques, it's still not foolproof, because he can come up, one-shot Superman Blue, and get to the other side of the map. So Krang is really going to be a problem. Krang's going to be a huge problem. Huge problem. And it's something you're going to have to consider. Third thing, which I was surprised about, Pandora's Box won me over this weekend. I have Pandora's Box, I have Rock of Eternity, I have all the relics, but I didn't even play it on my team. I didn't want to use it because I'm still in green battery mode. Excuse me. And to me, it just seemed like garbage. But man, like half the teams, maybe more, had either Pandora's Box or Rock of Eternity, and it did awesome. It gives everybody sidestep, gives everybody pumps, it gives everybody power, and like Joe said at the end of the tournament, he said, a pump's a pump, but power's a power. So Pandora's Box, you're definitely going to be seeing that on teams. I'm going to be building around it on teams because it really is good. It gives everybody pumps, everybody sidestep, and sidestep is critical, and it's going to continue to be more critical in the game. I want to see what the other resources are going to do, or how they're going to impact, or if they're going to make more resources. But right now, as things stand today, Pandora's Box is definitely, I think, the better of the two, or the easier to navigate. And Rock of Eternity is going to be good for those tentpole teams, especially if you play Pandora's Box with Mitzelplick, like Phil Jr. was doing, because once you get, every turn you can assign a relic to that character that you choose to put the Rock of Eternity on. And every time you place another relic on him, you get +1 to your roll, because it says roll for Shazam. If you add the dice roll +1 for every Sin relic that's attached to the character, and the total is 16 or higher, give your champion a double power action and turn your dial to the Shazam dial, which gives them like hypersonic. I think it gives them pulse wave, it gives them prob, it gives them indom, it gives them flight. I mean, it gives all the crazy powers in the game when you make that. So when you have all of them, all you need is a 9. You need to roll a 9 or more, or 10 or more. So when you get Mitzelplick, you got a 6 hanging there on the side. You roll for Shazam. It's going to be easier to kind of moderate and get that Shazam roll off earlier, which it takes a long time. I don't think that part of the game is going to have such a huge effect on it. But Phil Jr. played it. I mean, he got a 12 once early on. And he got to turn Shazam. So imagine Super Scroll. He already has Pulse Wave, Invincible, Prob, whatever it is. He has Indom now. And then he can still choose powers on top of it. I mean, that's ridiculous. Double Super Scroll. Or what might it look like in the future? It might look like Krang. Might Krang have the Rock of Eternity on him? So right now, I think Krang is definitely more of a threat than the Quinjet. I think the Quinjet is fun looking. I think the Quinjet has potential to be very powerful. I got my Quinjet coming in the mail this week, and but I don't think it's as much of a threat as Krang is right now. So we've got to prepare for Krang and Justice Secret. Number 1 on the most wanted list is Krang. We got to be able to take him down. Need to have one. If you're not going to play him, at least to test against him. But Krang is going to be a problem. Other than that, I would have some way. You gotta position aggressively in the beginning. That was my number 1 mistake. And then have some way to get a precision strike attack off against Justin Seyfried. Because all he has is, I think he starts off with super senses. Let me look that up. He either starts off with super senses or willpower. If it's willpower, then that's even better. That is even better. It's willpower, you just take them up through there. The internet's running slow right now. There we go. So let's look up Justin Seyfried. Dun, dun, dun. There he is, number 20. Justin Seyfried starts off with super senses. So if you can get within range, precision strike on that guy, and then he only has 4 clicks, so you got a 1, 2, 3. All you gotta do is deal him 4 damage off rip, and then all of a sudden, Krang's not impenetrable now. Krang's just another good piece. But with Justin Seyfried's ability to throw him out there, take a shot, and then for him to move back on his own is just too much. It's too OP. It's too broken. Got to get win map roll, so play a theme team if you can. And yeah, take out Justin Seyfried off rip, and then we're going to have a good day when it comes to Krang. Other than that, we already knew this, but we know this even more. Teagle is a freaking problem. I mean, Teagle, Joe was calling his team Teagle.com/Peggy, because Teagle is a freaking problem. I mean, I almost, in probably 60% of my builds, I have Clarion. If it's not Mitzelplick, it's Clarion, because his ability to phasing teleport anywhere, sidestep, and then pop off Teagle for a Blades, Claws, and Fangs with a Perplex and with a probability control on Clarion. It's just too much. He doesn't care if you're behind a wall. He doesn't care if you're unelevated. He doesn't care where you are. Clarion's going to find you. Teagle is going to hunt you down. And I can't tell you how many games I've had where turn 2, I've taken out their highest point figure with either one Teagle or two Teagles. Because to get in there and be able to Blades for 5 or 6 off rip, I mean, is crazy. His ability to get across the board, because he's getting 11 steps out with sidestep and 9 movement phasing. Then you're going to drop Teagle in front of you one, so that is 12. And then Teagle can move for 4, which makes it 16. Or Teagle can perplex up his movement by 1 and move for 5, which makes it 17 movement. Add that if he starts on the second row in your starting line, and he's getting 19 squares across the board. Yeah, I mean, he's basically in your starting line. And you give him a TK, I mean, that you can't hide. You TK Clarion out before you move, and there is literally nowhere on the map that you can hide. Crazy. So Clarion's good. He was already, I know, a $15 or $16 rare. I think he's going to become a $20 rare, because he is just that good. Mystic's team ability for 70 points, that good. With Rock of Eternity, you can give him willpower. Not Rock of Eternity, sorry, Pandora's Box. You can give him willpower, and then it's just ridiculous. Also, we thought that Hypersonic was going to dominate the game after the batteries and stuff rotated. But, sad to say, Hypersonic, I believe, for the most part, is still going to be Hypersonic. I don't think it's going to have an elevated platform than what it did before. Because Pandora's Box gives out plasticity with the Lust Relic. And, I mean, it's just not as much of a threat as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be hard to get plasticity on figures, but with it being so achievable from both Rock of Eternity and Pandora's Box, I think that Hypersonic's not going to have as much of an open field as I thought it was going to have. I thought it was just going to be Hypersonic for days, but I think I think Phil Sr. played a Shazam team and made it to the top 8, which was good, but I don't think there were any other just solely Hypersonic teams that made it that far. Of course, Super Scroll can use Hypersonic. But I didn't see any Mary Marvels, which was a surprise. I expected to see some Mary Marvels. Didn't see Freddie Freeman. Only saw one Shazam, and it made top 8. But I don't think that, because I thought Hypersonic speed was going to be just crazy dominant after rotation, but it's still just Hypersonic speed. I think it's a little bit better overall, but especially if you have somebody with Hypersonic speed, like the 85-point Flash, and it can get in there with Precision Strike, or a lot of people are doing Quicksilver with Eclipso on them, if you can get in there to attack Jason Seifert, because Eclipso can give Quicksilver Precision Strike, and then you have Flurry with Quicksilver to have 2 opportunities to hit that, whatever it is. Let me see, 16 defense. Oh my goodness. And take him out the game for risking he's 75 points Quicksilver, 25 points with the Ant. There's 100 points or just 85 points with the 85-point Flash LE. That's worth it. That's worth it, and that is a game changer. So Hypersonic's going to have its place. I think it's going to be, option 3 or option 4 in team builds as far as answers. But I thought it was going to be the number 1 option after rotation. For some reason, I don't know what I was thinking, but after seeing it, it just, it is stoppable. It's very stoppable. Very, very stoppable. So, and even Justin Seifert, he can get the Lust Relic, and then, those answers become not so much answers. And that's really what I saw. Even seeing zombie team bases can be taken down. Even in Origins, I would not be surprised if even James, because James is going to Worlds, if James won Worlds or a Krang team won, because Krang is just that good right now. So those are my thoughts. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. If you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, please let me know, because part of Heroclix is we make each other better and we advance the culture and the community. So that's it for Kingdom Come Heroclix. Like, subscribe, share the channel to your friends, your team, your play group, your local store, trying to build it up. And we'll see you next time on Kingdom Come Heroclix.